I'm Artemis Javanshir, along with Mr. Lavji Kama. We would like you to welcome you to FEZANA Religion Education Committee Zoom meeting, different virtual approaches to religion classes for multi-age students. We would like to thank our three speakers for sharing their experiences and advice in regard to virtual teaching. And we also hope this to be a beginning for future fellowship of sharing and collaborating among all religion teachers. So if during this session you may have a question, please put a number 1 in the chat box or type in your question, and during question and answer, we'll get to you in turn. I would like to ask Mr. Lavji Kama, co-chair of FEZANA Religion Education Committee, to introduce our speakers, please.
Okay, thank you, Artemis. Our first speaker will be Bakhtavar Desai. She is the president of the Zoroastrian Association of Kentucky, Ohio, and Indiana, and co-chair of the FEZANA Interfaith Activities Committee. She has been conducting religion classes and camps since 2005 for the children in her community from ages 4 through 18. She is passionate about ending hunger in the world and building peaceful communities. She devotes her time for these causes in her community regularly. Our second speaker is going to be Vehishta Kaikobad. She has been an educator for over 25 years, working in the field of early childhood education based on the Montessori method. She was nominated and recognized by the Houston Children's Museum for the Spiros Martel Teacher of Year Award in 2000. She currently works as a teaching artist at the Glassell Junior School Museum of Fine Arts, Houston. She earned the Mary Benedict Docent of the Year Award in 2008. Vehishta continues to serve her community in the capacity of a Sunday school educator at the Zoroastrian Association of Houston and beyond since the 1980s. She has led Kids Congress at 3 different congresses, and Vehishta remains dedicated to the cause of promoting Zoroastrian heritage and culture within the community and globally. Our third speaker will be Tashan Mistree Behramji. She was fortunate to have been taught classical Zoroastrianism from a young age and has been teaching since she was a teenager. She currently resides in Philadelphia with her husband and 2 children. She is a member of the Zoroastrian Association of Pennsylvania and New Jersey, ZAPNJ, where she teaches the 4 to 10-year age group. She has also taught middle and high schoolers. Tashan believes in teaching Zoroastrianism the fun way through song, arts, crafts, relatable content, and making it easy for the kids and their parents to practice together. Okay, that is the end of my introductions. After the speakers speak, there'll be a period of question and answers. Each speaker is allotted 15 minutes. And so I think we better start. Artemis?
Before we start, can I request everybody to put their mics on mute, please? Except the speaker.
Mm-hmm.
Let's invite Bakhtavar.
Yes.
Please go ahead, Bakhtavar.
Okay, sure. Thank you for having me here today. I've been teaching religion classes for the last 16 years to kids in my community, which includes kids from cities in Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. We don't yet have a center for ZAKOI, so the classes would be in someone's home. And in order to be fair to all the families who are spread out over the 3 states, we would give our monthly dates to families and they would sign up for hosting the classes so that traveling would be equitable to all the families throughout the year. And then we would travel to the city where the class would be hosted. Then some years ago, some of my families in my religion class circle moved far away to Texas, to California. So we would still have in-person classes in someone's home, but Skype in those kids who wanted to join from distant states. These religion classes would pretty much be an all-day commitment for all of us who participated, like travel time of about 6 hours, class time of about 2 to 3 hours, and then have a potluck dinner with all the families. It was all fine until the kids were very young, but as they got into higher grades and studies and tests became a higher priority and time became very valuable, we decided to stop these in-person classes some years ago and just stick to Skype or Zoom classes for everyone on a monthly basis. So for the past few years, I have been used to conducting classes simply via Zoom, and it's working out really well. I devote one Sunday a month to teaching 2 classes back to back. One for the really young kids who I call my beginner class, and the other is for the older kids that I call the advanced class, because most of the older kids have been learning from me or with me for some years now. Each of our classes is about 2 hours long. So the first few minutes of our class is what I call the icebreaker. We spend a few minutes creating a level of comfort and friendliness and bringing smiles on everyone's faces by just chit-chatting about how are you doing, how's school going, which classes are your favorite, how are your friends doing, how's your vacation going, and things like that. And all these questions ease the children into becoming relaxed with one another and coming in a relaxed mode for the class. And within a few minutes, everybody is relaxed and feeling comfortable with everyone. And then we begin our class. We always begin our classes by loudly reciting our entire Kasti prayers. When we are in person, for example, in our annual camps, we actually do our Kasti together. But on Zoom, we recite the prayers, we stop after each prayer to remind each other about the core meaning of each prayer, which is an important life skill that we have to use in our daily lives. For example, after the Kemnamazda prayer, I would ask them to tell me which are those 2 golden words in this prayer that ring a bell in your heads and remind you of the main message in this prayer. And at least some of the kids will volunteer to tell us that the 2 words are Athar Ashacha and Manang Ashacha. So that no matter how hopeless we feel at times, we always remember that we have the 2 best tools, God's divine loving warmth within us and his best gift to all of us, our good thinking mind. And if we use these 2, we are bound to find answers and solutions to all our problems. That God helps those who help themselves. When this message is spoken out loud to remind all the kids of the core message they learn from Kemnamazda prayer, it reinforces the confidence in them that there is nothing in this world that they cannot do or should feel hopeless about as long as they remember to use these tools. And thus we continue on with our other prayers and discuss the messages from each prayer after reciting it. This way, the Kasti process, the Kasti praying process itself becomes an important learning part of our class every time. It's a ritual now in our class. Reinforcing the messages of our Kasti prayers, embed these messages in our kids' minds and enable them to remember to use them in their daily lives. For the little ones who don't know the entire Kasti prayers yet, we ask them to at least say their Ashimvo and Yatha Uhuveryo prayers loudly so we can hear how they're saying it and whether they're pronouncing their words properly. Then we continue on to our designated lesson for the day. It may be around a concept or a prayer or history or literature related to our religion. For the beginner class, for example, if a class is dedicated to teaching the meanings of all the words in the Ashembo prayer and its core message, we try to keep it as simple as possible for the kids. For example, instead of saying, "It is good to be righteous," which some little ones may not even be able to say or understand, and how that applies to their day-to-day life, we tell them that they should always do what they believe is the right thing to do under any circumstance. We ask them to give examples of how they have used Asha or doing the right thing in their lives. We create a scenario for them. For example, your mom has come home from work and she's busy taking care of everyone, preparing dinner for the family. You are around her, watching her or playing somewhere near her. And then we ask the kids, in that situation, do you ever think of doing what you believe is the right thing to do? One of my kids said he would think of asking his mom if he can help her with cleaning the dishes for her. It sounds so simple, but that is a great example to directing their thoughts, to keeping the concept of Asha in their minds all the time. We would usually go through a typical day for a child. Like we would take one child, for example, and then we would go through what that child does from the time she or he wakes up to the time they go to sleep. And then how are they applying the word Asha or righteousness in their daily life? Or how are they not applying it, even when there are opportunities for them to do that? And that's how we would cover a lesson on a concept or a word that otherwise may seem too academic, too difficult, or boring for them. But at the end of the lesson, they all feel so good about themselves as they learn how each one is practicing righteousness in their own lives. Interactive discussions. We do the same thing with the older kids. After covering a topic, we ask each child if he or she would like to give an example in her life where the concept that has been taught is applicable, or just share her thoughts on that topic. Sometimes, if a child struggles to explain her example, we ask the other kids to help her out by explaining what they learned to her, and maybe even going first and giving their own example first, so that the child who was struggling to think of an example of how she uses what she learns in class and applies it to her daily life, now that child who was struggling will talk with more confidence as she has got a better idea from the other kids about the concept and about what kind of example she should talk about. In the last 15 minutes or so of the class, we talk about something currently happening in the world. For example, during one of our summer Zoom classes this year, we asked each child to give us an example of someone who they saw as a hero during the COVID crisis, and who reminded them that no matter how hopeless or bad any situation may be, when human beings use their good mind to find solutions, to be kind, loving, and helpful to others, instead of sitting passively and whining about their situation, the world can be good and happy under all circumstances. Other than the usual examples of doctors, nurses, medical staff, researchers, leaders, and grocery store workers, the kids also gave us some unique examples, like those people who were attacked by the virus are like a hero to them because the medical community gets to learn a little bit more about the virus from their illness, which in turn helps to keep all of us safer. Some children even mentioned that the postman or the Amazon drivers or the UPS drivers delivering their mail and packages every day made them feel like they were heroes. In our discussions, we tell the children to say whatever they want to say, as there is no right or wrong, and what everyone's thoughts and words matter. We create an atmosphere where every child's opinion and thoughts are respected by everyone. We remind them that there are no commandments, there are no do's and don'ts in our religion, and that our Prophet Zarathustra has encouraged every person to use his good mind and sound reasoning to make the right choices in life. And that is why they need our children, and that is what our children need to remember to do that throughout their lives. In order to keep them engaged most of the times during the 2-hour class, instead of me reading the lesson notes to them, I have them read a paragraph or two of the lesson, turn by turn. They know that I can call on anyone to read next, so they are attentive and their eyes and mind is on the notes in the right place. We often pause and let the children explain what they understood from those notes. And after that, I expand on it. And it is important that we denote the last few minutes of the class to talking about pertinent issues. When we talk about issues at the end of our class, we talk about those issues that are pertinent to our day-to-day lives and discuss how these religious teachings guide us. This drives home the message that our religion is not something abstract to be practiced in the fire temple or when we do our prayers at home. But our religion is our guide on how we should lead our lives in the best possible way, fighting evil and making our world a better place every minute, every day. The fruits of these discussions are very rewarding to us. One of our kids once told us that after cheating on a test, he went on and confessed it to his teacher because he remembered that our religion teaches us to have a good, clear conscience all the time. And even though he failed that test, it made him feel good to keep his conscience clear and good. One little 8-year-old asked me during a class that what prayer should I pray so that all the people who are sick with corona in the world will get better? A few of our kids are actively involved in causes like social justice, gun control, climate change, and one of our 10th graders is actually interning virtually with a candidate's campaign for the US Congress. So with this, I will end and take questions if you have any for me later on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bakhtavar. That was very nice. Very useful information. Vehishta, may I invite you to please share?
Thank you. And in context with what we do at ZAH, good evening. I'd like to start with a very short benediction, and I hope that time will not be inclusive of the 15 minutes. So can we please just quickly say, one yatha vanashimbaho, yatha viryo, atharatush, ashadachitacha, bange bosh, desdamaningo, shotananam, antibush mastai, shatrincha, bahurai, I am Dregobyo, the red bastare. And I'll sing the Ashimbahu song. Ashimbahu, Vehishta masti, Ushta asti, Ushta amma, Yadashai, Vehishta yashim. Give all you can, help all you can, happiness to him who befriends all men. Thank you. And with that, I'd like to begin my 15-minute session. In addition to being a Sunday school teacher, I also am notorious for doing workshops, which are about 3 hours long, for teacher training sessions across across Houston. However, today, I'd like to give you a reflection and a taste of what we do at ZAH. I'm very proud to see our ZAH teachers here, Arnava Setna and Nausar Dangor. And today we're going to work as a team with my co-teacher and our IT specialist, Khurshid Dastoor, and our unique example of Sunday school, Mahtab Dastoor, one of our students who has been mentored by Sunday school and now is going to mentor us in turn with our virtual experiences. So initially, we try to work in a buddy system, particularly on a Zoom platform. For this, there is a lot of preparation involved. We actually do trial runs before the start of a class. And the person who is taking charge of the technology is the one who handles all the chat messages and all the other technical aspects, whilst I teach on without interruption. And that really builds a smooth and steady flow of the presentation. The other thing, and because I was requested by Lavji and by Artemis to show it more as a virtual platform, we absolutely have our Sunday school highlights, and actually Matabi and Arzan both have it as an attachment if anyone wants to see it. So I'm not going to go into the details of what we do. Of course, our Sunday school involves liturgical topics, cultural and historical topics, topics related to special events like Thanksgiving, etc. We do things related with drama, songs, everything. And ZAH is notoriously popular for keeping the momentum going. What I would like to do today is to show you how we use our tactile material. As you were informed, I'm a Montessorian by education, and sticking to the Montessori philosophy, most of the material that we have created for the benefit of the kids is cognitive and hands-on. It's also very didactic in nature, so it's self-correcting when the children are in class and working with it. We wanted to keep that attribute relevant, and keeping that in mind, we wanted to give this little enrichment with virtual activities. Now, a lot of our children have the capability of doing that. And we used Mahtab and requested her to create over the time, ever since we began with our Zoom communication, she's been helping us create activities related to Sunday school. Here I'd like to pause and also emphasize the need for us to keep our youth involved. So ladies and gentlemen, we have to trust our youth. We've got to respect them. Sunday school is not about a one day, once a week, once a month session. It is an ongoing spiritual process from formative years all the way to young adulthood. And this is the time that we can have faith, trust them, respect them, and use their talents to aid us in going further with our continuity as Sunday school instructors. So this is the reason why I requested Arzan. Initially, he was going to be doing the screen sharing, but I requested him to let Mahtab be our co-host because she was actively involved in helping us prepare this. So very quickly, I want to show you that basically on the Zoom platform, I'm using my iPad, and having that facility, I can also I generally stay on the gallery view and invite each child as they join in. And of course, one of the, we request them to keep their videos on, especially with the younger ones, because the more connected they are visually, the more focusing takes place. And then we do request them to mute their cameras, but to unmute if they have any questions or any thoughts to share. So they're not restricted in that. However, at the beginning of my presentation, which I still want to be kind of interactive, I switch my camera as I'm going to do now. So with a little click, my iPad has the facility to switch, and you're going to see my table layout with the Kushti prayers. Here you can see that I've got a handmade, we do a lot of our handmade material. We're glad to share these with you on request. But you can see that one of the first prayer is Ashem Vahu. And once the child has, sorry, I meant to turn this over. Once the child has looked carefully at the picture and interpreted it, we turn our meaning around and match the meaning with the prayer. Or we do the same for the next one. And right now my camera is stationary. However, I'm going to move it along so you can see how the children will be seeing it. So you've got my Yathalveryo, and once they can see, they interpret what's happening in the picture. And then of course we give them the meaning. So isolation of material, of concept is very, very important for them to understand it. In this way, and because of the interest of time, I just gave you a short view of how we would proceed into all our Kasti prayers. So we've gone all the way from Ashem Vahu to Yathalveryo Kem Namazda Jasnavangamazda and Ahuramazda Kodai. Here you can see a little display of the Kasti prayer. Incidentally, I'm in my studio at school. I did not have time to go home after work, so I just stayed here and got this ready for you all. I also wanted to share that besides switching, if you feel more comfortable keeping your video frontal, you can actually do a little presentation from the Shahnameh. You can dramatize, you can be King Jamshid, you can actually use all kinds of material and do your stories any way you like. So this is the easiest way. However, by switching, you get to see the material itself. Now, in order to complement this hands-on material, we requested Mahtab to create a little game. So Mahtab, would you please share your game with our viewers? Thank you.
Sure, thank you, Vaishnavi. So I'm now sharing my screen, and you can see an example of what we used in Sunday school itself. We showed this screen to the students and we told them to memorize and understand the meanings and definitions of each Kasti prayer. After they had done so, we made them all one color and we asked them questions such as, what prayer tells us that Ahura Mazda protects us? After they found out and decided which one it was, we showed it to them and explained it to them in case they had any questions. After they answered all the questions, you can see that all the colors were seen.
And then we, during our 4th of July celebration for human rights, we had this other activity created. Would you please present that as well? Thank you.
So like Vaishnavi said, we had a cultural activity where we told them all about Cyrus the Great, the Cyrus cylinder, and all the places he was and ruled. We also have an actual replica of this Cyrus cylinder in person, but since it's virtual, we simply showed them a picture. And as you can see, the picture has cuneiform on it. Cuneiform is a language. So we sent them this form and we told them to cut out these pieces. They were then told to reference the key and figure out what each word meant.
And they really had fun doing that. And now we're currently going to be celebrating this tomorrow. So please feel free to join us for our Sunday school session. This is the activity that you'll see Mahtab showing you.
So this is the activity we are using tomorrow in Sunday school. And as we are progressing from summer to fall, we decided to make these green leaves represent summer. As you click on each leaf, it leads you to a question. These are 10 questions randomly chosen from the curriculum that the students have learned throughout the year. They were also sent a tree like this, along with leaves with the answers to each of the 10 questions. They were asked to color and cut each leaf out. Now tomorrow, when they see each question, they will decide what the answer is. In this case, the answer would be C, Zarathustra. They will then take the leaf with Zarathustra and paste it where they see it on the leaf turn orange. As you can see, the green leaf has now turned orange, representing the movement from summer to fall. So then they would then paste it where they saw the leaf turn orange. In the end, their tree is very colorful, and as you can see, all our leaves are orange.
Now the same activity, a similar quiz, is taken a step further in a game called Kahoot, which is an app that you can download. So Mahtab is going to give you a brief introduction to Kahoot, and later on, if you're interested, she can show you how to download the app like she did. She helped me download mine. So here you go.
So Kahoot is a game-based learning platform, and you can access it through the web browser or you can download it. And the host or the teacher shares her screen, and her screen will show what you see on this TV here. This can either be played in teams or individually. So I will select individually for today. As you can see, the students are given a code. The students then go to this website here, kahoot.it, and they get this screen shown on the phone. They type in the code shared with them by the teacher, as I am doing so right now. They then decide their weird nickname, which is automatically generated. After the teacher has decided that she has the amount of players she wants, they press start. As you can see, this is the quiz, and the questions show up. The teacher shows the screen on the TV, and the students decide the answers. It is multiple choice. After they have decided which one they want to choose, for example, this one would be the red triangle. They would then go to their own screen, which is shown on the phone here, and click on the red triangle. After all the students have answered or the time has run out, whichever comes first, you get polls. This allows the teacher to know how many students know the questions and the answers and what to review and go over later. You can then press next, see how many people have how many points, which makes them be more competitive and want to learn. And you can move on to the next question. Because of time, I will stop now.
Thank you, Mata. And very quickly, here we have a little, I'm just going to give you a little view of what else you can do if you do not have an iPad. You can take your laptop and you can actually hook up your the camera, your mobile phone. In this case, I have a webcam attached to the laptop, and the webcam in turn, you've got to log on twice to the meeting. And what happens is the webcam, your mobile phone, which can be both wired or wireless, will then reflect upon the object that you may have placed on the table. So right now, my other, this is another platform, so it is not on, but this is what I use. You can see that I actually put it on carts. You can prop it up on carts. You can even see cardboard boxes being used. You can see a tripod, but you can use a stool or a chair. You can use ruler and tapes to prop your cameras on. So there are multiple ways in which you can make home-based cameras come alive for your Zoom activity. And Tashan is going to take you a step further with her SACE presentation. And just before we end, I know that Khurshid had just a few seconds to share some other platforms that, or some other Zoom activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Vehishta. So to make this virtual Sunday school interactive, all the things that you saw that Mahtab and Vehishta showed, there are some other capabilities of Zoom that can be used as well, such as breakout rooms. This is a capability that allows students to go away in small groups into their own virtual room, have discussions, interaction, and then come back to the main meeting room and present their tasks. We use this feature of breakout rooms along with Kahoot very successfully during the first virtual Z Camp that we had organized in July, and all the kids just loved it. The whiteboard is another capability of Zoom that can be used where students can write, draw, and other students can see, just like you would with a whiteboard in a physical meeting room. Then, of course, there's Google Forms, which can be used along with Zoom, where one can vote, answer polling questions, students can express their views in written form. And we have used this in our Sunday schools for our elections, for example. And outside of Zoom and Google Forms, there are many other tools and platforms available in the market today. For example, Mentimeter, which allows similar functionality as Google Forms does. Also, there are most of these tools are free for a limited audience capacity and can be easily leveraged for a Sunday school setting.
And now, after hearing all these fantastic technological ideas, here's something that's very simple. I'm going to dismantle my work so you can see what goes behind the setup. So right behind the setup with Zarathustra's picture and Kushti prayers are simply paint bottles. And right under my cards are more paint bottles as prop-ups. So you can use all kinds of different props to make your Sunday school presentation viable and presentable to your students. The key just lies in creativity, and I'm sure you will all agree, in a lot of dedication and devotion. So thank you so much for sharing this time with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vehishta, Mahtab, and Khurshid for all the useful information. I would like to ask Tashan to share with us now.
Hi, everyone. Hopefully you can see my screen. Let me just go ahead and share. So I use a lot of the same approaches that Vehishta uses. I teach our Sunday school. We actually have it on Saturday, and we just had it about 2 hours ago at 4 o'clock Eastern time. So I teach as a teacher at ZAPNJ, and I am teaching the sort of 4 to 10 age group right now, the young ones. For the summer, I taught a number of classes across the last 5 months during COVID. And we sort of really had to improvise on how to make the classes interesting for kids, especially for the younger audience who are not as technologically capable, and also to keep them engaged over a period of time. So I just wanted to share some of the sort of manipulatives and tools that I used, and you've heard some of the other teachers mention them. And so hopefully they start to become familiar, and it also gives you confidence that they're pretty easy to use. So the first thing I just wanted to start with was, these are probably some of the most common phrases you're gonna hear right now in your classes, especially the, you're on mute, I can't see you, can you see me? Who's sharing, who's not? So it just made me laugh when I saw this, because I really felt like as a teacher, you can connect to a number of these quotes over here. It does make it interesting when you have little children, but I think as well, to keep the older ones engaged, you have to think of ways to sort of change your teaching tactics. It's taken me a lot of prep, basically, so I can't stress enough on how much prep and more prep goes into each class, but it's getting easier with time. I do require setup time as well, just like Vehishta showed. I have a lot of ways of keeping things propped up. And then I've got some tips I want to share, and I'm going to share some of my tools as well. So like Vehishta shared, I use a double screen methodology. And the reason is this: I love the functionality of using an iPad for Zoom. It's just easier. I can see everyone easily. I can look at the chat. I can access it. I prefer having my iPad as my interactive portal with kids. But I like sort of the professional and technological aspects of a laptop being able to present information. So what I do is I put my presentations on my laptop and share. I sign in twice to my own call, and I share my laptop when I need to share a PowerPoint or Word document, an image, whatever it is that I'm sharing, a website. And it just works a lot easier for me because I'm able to manipulate the laptop, and then I can still see the kids and see, you know, if they're able to grasp, you know, can they see me as well? I think that's also important. So if you're comfortable using the laptop and the gallery view and things, that's fine, but I prefer separating them out. As you can see, I've propped up my iPad in the picture on a box. So just like Vehishta, I use whatever's available at home that gives me the right height. I learned from my first class, my husband kept telling me that my head was getting cut off, and it just ended up looking weird and silly to kids. So it's better to think of, you know, the frame that you have as well, because that's important when you're presenting. Another thing I do, and you can see this image over here, is I lay out all my materials around me, because you need to be able to fit a number of things in, especially if you're using manipulative. So I have my iPad, laptop. If you can see the little table tent with the priest image on it, I use a lot of table tents within my presentations just to help kids see what I'm talking about. So I highlight the word. Today I taught a class on Zoroastrian. So I had his name, I had his parents' names, all written out on table tents just when I'm discussing that one word. If you're talking about the Hashem Vahu, it's nice to highlight words like Ushta and Asha, etc. So depending on what you're doing, the table tent is a very useful tool to use, and it's easy for kids to follow. If you're doing a worksheet, it's another really good way where you send out the worksheet ahead of time to the parents or to the kids' emails. They're able to print it out, and your words that you're filling in end up being on your table tent. So it's easy for kids to follow as well. It's easy for them to also see the spelling. Some of the other tips that I just wanted to go through were, you know, following a curriculum really helps, because the preparation that is needed, I think on these Zoom calls, is definitely different to when you're in person. I like to provide a similar structure to each class. So I like to do a prayer. It could be lighting a Devo and doing the Hashem Vahu and Yatau Verio. I think my little kids really enjoy that. Today we learned about Mergan as well, which is coming up according to the Fasli calendar. So I had a quote from the Mer Yesht that I did with them as well. And you can do that at the starting or the ending, just to have sort of pull it together and have kids focus as well. Zoom is a great platform. I've also attended classes on Google Hangouts, so I just wanted to put that out there. If you're using the Google tools, it's also a good way of using the Google Hangouts. Like Khurshid mentioned, breakout rooms are really good for project work, or if you're doing a longer session, it's advisable to use breakout rooms so that children can sort of have some time one-on-one or in smaller groups to engage as well. I talked about showing yourself and speaking, focusing on materials. So some of the tools that I like to use, I have a box that I prop up on the table, and I sort of put whatever worksheet I'm using or manipulative I'm using. And just to give you an example, you can use laminated ones. It makes it really easy. And then during the class, I'm sort of talking about something. So we talked of Zarathustra today. I showed a map of sort of what the countries are now, India, Pakistan, Iran. And then I was talking about the Aral Sea, so they can see how far you know, the RLC is from Iran, but it's easy to use these sort of laminated manipulatives because then kids get an idea of what you're talking about, and it's ready for you to use as well. Using a whiteboard is another really great tool. This is a small one. I have a bigger one at home as well with an easel, and it's easy to write across. You can also use the Zoom one. I just prefer being able to sort of have things in my hand and teach and look at the kids as well.
Tashan, we can't see you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll go back to those tools as well. I can see myself. So are you the?
If you just maybe slide the screen and then just tap on her name and you'll be able to see her.
I think you need to.
I can see her.
I think we can see you. It's just the person who asked who can't see you.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I'll continue then. Hopefully, Artemis, you can see me then. So I think also Vehishta showed the benefits of being able to move around, or you can sit in one spot as long as you lay out your tools. But whatever makes you more comfortable is the approach that you should use. I like to use show and tell as a sort of teaching methodology to engage kids, whether it's younger or older kids. When you're having them present and being part of something, it makes them more invested in it. So that's another really good teaching tool to use. It really is helpful to have someone co-host the meeting with you to take care of the chat. Because that's another part that sometimes I forget to look at the chat more frequently, especially when you have younger kids. It's easy to have someone else co-host and then attend to the questions and help with managing that as well. I think for Vehishta and Khursheed, that works really effectively. I wish I had a Khursheed on my end to help me co-host as well, but it turns out to be okay as well. Then I wanted to share on the online tool Mentimeter. So you saw Kahoots that ZAH uses, and I'm going to show you Mentimeter. Before I show you Mentimeter, I just wanted to say, if you are planning on singing, I've learned you have to mute everybody, otherwise you get a variety of words at different points, or I should say melodies at different points. But especially if you're the teacher, maybe the first time you mute everyone, then you sing whatever it is you want to sing, then you can unmute and have people sing together. But otherwise you just get a cacophony of sounds and voices, and it's not as effective as the kids hearing what it is you're trying to communicate. For stories, it's another really useful thing. I use puppets, so I have a lot of puppets. I use masks as well when I'm telling little kids different parts of the story. So those are easy things that we can do at home. You can buy puppet making kits on Amazon easily, and it's really good and useful to use. For older kids, one of the tools that I really thought was useful was the Mentimeter. So let me just show you Mentimeter. So Mentimeter is just like Kahoots. You can sign on. It has limited capabilities for the free version, but you can sign on and use a paid version. So I just used this today in my class, and what you can see is the teacher's view of things. If you go into present, initially it gives you, you have to log into menti.com and you use the code at the top of the screen. You can see the responses from my last class. So it appears as the kids are putting in the responses, and it was really useful, and I think they enjoyed it. I do teach on the younger end, that 4 or 5-year-old, 6-year-old age, so they do need parental support for these kind of things. So I encourage them, if you don't have a parent around, just shout out the answer. So I read the question, I give them the answer options, and it was helpful, and they sort of enjoyed having Mentimeter work as well. Another useful thing that I saw in Mentimeter that I really liked is a word cloud. So we did this today, and I can't tell you how thrilled the little kids were to sort of see the words they were putting in pop up. And you can say, the question was, when you think of Zarathustra, you feel, and these are all their responses. The largest word is the most common response. So happy, good, nice, proud, those are sort of the words that sort of stick out. But I really thought it's a nice way to sort of tie in things at the end and sort of get the kids to think of what they had talked about. as well. So if you want to play around in Mentimeter, there are a number of things that you can do. Another thing I wanted to show you guys was when I say I do a prayer, I always put it up, the words and the translation on the screen. I feel like kids need to see, they're so used to seeing a prayer book, they need to see what it is that you're talking about and what it is you're praying. They may not necessarily be able to read it, but I think it helps kids also to be engaged this way as well. So I think I had one more slide just showing you the table tents I use. So this is just a close-up of the table tent that I use. I've really felt like it's helped. It might help also for sort of older classes where you have larger words that you're using. Of course, you can write it on a whiteboard as well, but these are just some of the tools that I thought were helpful as I was teaching. So I think that's it for me. Artemis and Loveji, I will turn it back to you.
Thank you so much, Tashan. I have to say, Bakhtavar a few weeks ago had an interfaith festival. Her students participated in an interfaith festival, and they were just fantastic talking about Zoroastrian religion. So with Bakhtavar's blessings, I hope to share that with you if you're interested to watch. I also wanted to thank all three of our speakers, Mahtab and Khurshid, for sharing. So I'm going to go to questions now. Someone wanted to know the age groups that all three speakers teach. So please, we'll start with Bakhtavar and then Vehishta and then Tashan.
Yeah, my oldest kids are 18 right now.
Mm-hmm. Vehishta and Tashan?
My oldest, so I teach the 4 to 10-year-olds right now.
Sorry, I was on mute, so I couldn't get across. Khurshid and I teach kids from ages birth and up, but essentially they're ages 4 and up, up to the age of 10. But we have community activities, which includes all age groups. That's when they all combine and get together.
So I'm wondering if anyone here has tips to share for older age group. I know Bakhtavar talked about that. If anyone wants to share.
Can I?
Hi, this is Afri. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to talk about a few of the tips that I've been using for my religion class kids who are in the older category. They are 12 and above. And I've been using Pear Deck, which is another add-on to your Google Slides. So while you're doing slideshows, if you add on any Pear Deck quizzes, polls, questions, interactions, artwork, things like that, you can add that to your Google Slides to make your presentation a bit better. There's one that I did on Persepolis, and it's on YouTube, so you can check out a sample of what it looks like when it's presented to the kids and how they respond. It's very similar to Kahoot as well, if you're doing a slideshow through Kahoot. So that's one of the interactive tools with the kids if you don't want to interact through the chat window on Zoom.
Wonderful, thank you.
Can I add to that too?
Yes, please do.
Hi everyone, I'm Armaiti from Toronto, and I wanted to thank all of you for organizing this and the previous speakers. It's been great to hear what other people are doing. Here in Toronto, we just met a few hours earlier for our first Zoom planning meeting. So it's great to kind of see what's being done already. I also in my teaching use flippity.net, it's free. And Book Widgets is not free, but it's got a trial, and it's also great for multiple choice, Jeopardy, matching games. And they're very interactive with the kids. They get to control things with their mouse, their sound effects, its color, and you get to make it as complicated or simple as you need for whatever you're doing. And the other great thing is you can use words or images. So you can do matching things or all kind of things to do with symbols and pictures as well.
Thank you so much.
Artemis, I wanted to add or ask one more thing at the end when we've finished asking the questions about the presentations for today. So I'll wait until we're done before I ask an overall question.
Artemis, if I can add something.
Sure.
I know that you know, a lot of you have said that there are different tools, and some of these tools are free and some of these are paid. Keep in mind that a lot of these paid tools are available at huge discounted prices for nonprofits, right? And every single FEZANA member association is a nonprofit association, whether in the US or in Canada. And you know, there are ways to kind of get qualified to be on the nonprofit list, especially for technology. So for example, FEZANA's Zoom account, okay, we have the one for 500 people and we get a 50% discount on that. We all, like, I was just looking up on Mentimeter while Tashan was making the presentation, and there is a 30% discount for nonprofits. So I think you should all look into, you know, if there is nonprofit pricing, and if you need help with kind of navigating the so-called bureaucracy to kind of get that activated, just drop me an email. But, you know, they have all sorts of, you know, free software, like everything from Adobe Creative Cloud, if you want to create, like, you know, interactive stuff, to, you know, Zoom, and so many other things. So please look into that. I think that's a resource that we rarely use. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Aiza. Alfred had a question. Can Magda please share what program she used online to the leaf and tree?
I think she already put it over there.
Oh, she did? Okay.
Mentimeter, Pear Deck, Flippity. Oh, that's the other person. Okay.
So for the autumn leaf and tree, I used PowerPoint, and I imported a picture of a blank skeleton black tree. And then I drew and created different leaves and made them different colors. And then in PowerPoint, you have the option of linking. So when you click on the leaf, right click on the leaf, there is an option to link. And when you click on link, you can link it to a slide. And so I linked it to the slide with the question.
Thank you so much, Magda. Fariba has a question. Do you cover principles and ethics of Zoroastrian religion with the older kids or just prayers?
Can I add to that?
Sure.
This is Kurshid. So in Chicago, yes, we do. We typically cover with the older group at least one prayer or a stanza from a prayer. It doesn't have to be the entire prayer. And then we talk about the meaning, etc., and have discussions on that. But we also cover history, ethics, customs, rituals, a lot of that stuff. Yes. And of course, at the base of it all, there's always that underlying message of Humata Hukata Vehishta, or good thoughts, good words, good deeds. So that's, you know, underlying pretty much everything.
Anyone else would like to share?
There is no age limit to introducing ethical concepts to children. It can be done at all ages and taken to all levels.
Thank you. So they're asking Armati for the two apps. Did you already mention that? It says, can you please repeat the two apps you mentioned?
Yeah, the links up there.
I'll write them into the chat.
Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I'm skimming through to see if I see any other questions.
I saw one related to the Shahnameh book. Someone
Yes, so that can be purchased both through Amazon and through Kingorama. Kingorama is the original website for the person who's made the book. And also they have shadow plays for Shahnameh, which are amazing. You can check that out too. So that's in the chat area as well.
Yeah, and I got this directly from the author and the presenter of the Shadow Theater. He was here in Houston and we worked very closely, and you can get in touch with him as well. So.
Fantastic. So please, if you have any questions, if I missed anyone, please go ahead and ask it now. If no questions, Armati, would you like to? Yes, go ahead, please.
I just wanted to take this opportunity while we're all here together to talk about some sort of a Google Drive that we can create with all of these resources, because we don't want to keep reinventing the wheel on the 7 creations or Zarathustra's life story if we can all start sharing online presentations.
Thank you so much.
Can I just make a small comment on that? Many years ago, we had a Google group for teachers, but was hardly ever used. So I just don't know if teachers will actually use it. I wish they would, but I'm not sure.
I think we're in a new time now where we like Tashan said, prep is key to engaging kids. And I mean, for all age groups, some of us are teachers by profession, some of us aren't, but all of us are really committed to this. And I think it would make all our lives easier if we could start seeing and sharing resources.
Yeah, I agree. We should try it again. We should try it again. I think.
This is Tashan. If it's okay, Lavji and Artemis, I just wanted to mention that on behalf of the FEZANA Religion Committee, where Lavji and Artemis are the co-chairs, I have been working with Arnavaz and Vehishta, and I know that there are other people as well working on developing a FEZANA curriculum to help teachers give suggestions on what you can teach, how you can teach it. Vehishta, Arnavaz, and I are also collecting those very teaching materials and tools, whether it's worksheets, diagrams, topics, references. We've been collecting that as part of this activity. And I think that we would like somewhere where we can share that. And I think that's an additional discussion if we can have it with Arzan and the larger FEZANA committee. It would really help. So thank you, Armati. I totally agree.
Tashan.
That's wonderful. Go ahead, love.
Whole bunch of groups that are making curricula and making up lesson plans for different subjects. So you are just one part of that, Tashan.
Sure. But I'm just as part of that.
All of this should be available on a FEZANA website when it's ready. And we hope to finish this, I guess, sometime next year.
In the meantime, the 3 of us would be more than happy to share our resources with anybody who requests them. As I mentioned at the beginning of my little time, we actually even have highlights of our curriculum online right now, available with Arzan and Khurshid and Mahtab. They both have it handy to share. Anyone requesting it, plus we have materials that we would gladly share. If you want to just send your emails out, we'd be happy to do that with you, just to get the ball rolling.
Thank you so much. We will definitely speak with Arzan and if possible get that going, because as many of you know, we're in the process of making some age-appropriate lesson plans, but until it's ready, we definitely would love teachers, a platform for teachers to share that. So hopefully, Arzan, can we talk please in regards to that and get that going for all the teachers?
In the very short term, like literally within the next 3 or 4 days, what we'll do is once this video is ready, it will be on FEZANA's YouTube channel and we'll post it on the FEZANA website, right? And all of the discussions that have happened, the chat also gets recorded as a text chat. So we'll pull out all of the resources that you guys have shared and then any other stuff that Vehishta and others have shared. And I'll drop all of those links in that one website, one web page. And then Artemis will reach out to all of you on your emails. We have them. and you will get that as a link. So at least this talk and everything that was discussed around this talk will be in one place. And then, yes, Artemis, we should discuss on how we can continue and make this into a larger, bank of knowledge that is available digitally.
Thank you for accommodating that, Desai.
If I can just add to that, my name is Anaita Jamula. I'm here from Seattle, and there's a very large Seattle contingent here that is helping create some of these PowerPoints and presentations for our kids. And we really would like to have some resources. Right now, we have a class tomorrow, and a lot of the work that we do is sort of sifting through what data is out there on different Zoroastrian websites in all of our books. And I do feel like we could use a little bit of support by way of creating that curriculum. And so we're not, recreating another PowerPoint on Amesha Spentas or whatever the topic is. So I think there would be a lot of interest from our crowd here in sort of synergizing with the work that's going on in the development of a curriculum.
Thank you so much. We have a few questions about teens. I know we didn't cover as much on the older kids, but one question is, how do you keep teens motivated online? And also, what curriculum do you use for older teens? Can some of the teachers who teach the older teens answer that question? How do you keep them motivated online, and what curriculum do you use?
So this is Dolat. I'm from Northern California, and I've been teaching the high school class for the past, 10 years or so. Now, we're going to do our first online class tomorrow, so wish us luck all here. But in person, what's really motivating for them, and last year we had about 20 kids in our high school class, and this year we have 7 seniors who will graduate from our class. So what's really motivating is we talk about if the name of the class is hashtag WWZD. I don't know if it's the name of it, but the idea of what would Zartush do if he was a teenager right now. And so we pay a lot of attention to their current day dilemmas, and we let the kids actually come up with the ideas, and we teach mainly from the Gathas, using verses of Gatha, and do a lot of games. So I'm hoping with the online version too, that we do a similar idea and really get the kids involved, because we need to have their buy-in. Otherwise, I don't know, they're on Zoom all the time, so it's going to be really hard to keep them motivated.
So may I suggest something extra, please? Okay. So another thing that the ZH does is to something similar where the students are given a topic and they all research on it, and then they come back and they have their session. And Mahtab can tell you more about what they're going to do tomorrow. But I reiterate that as teachers of any age, we should involve our youth in helping us with the formation of virtual classes. This is giving them that sense of responsibility and definitely a sense of encouragement to stay connected with what they have absorbed from childhood all the way to being young adults.
Yeah,
so that would,
yeah. So I really appreciate that, and I would love to know how you do get them involved. The problem with the high schoolers is that they are so overloaded and so overwhelmed that I would love to hear how other people been able to get high schoolers motivated. They're motivated, but they're just so overwhelmed. There's just so much that they have to do. So I haven't had any chance getting more consistent high schoolers that I can count on.
Yes, I know what you're suggesting, but Mahtab is an excellent example of that. She wears several caps, let's put it that way. And maybe she might be able to give some suggestions as a youth with so many different activities and high pressured curriculum. Maybe Mahtab might be able to voice some thoughts on that.
Sure. So a big thing that I use is time management. It's a really important skill in life, and being able to manage what we do in ZAH as well as school homework is a very valuable thing, because when you have a job in the industry, you will have to do other things other than just your job. Also, interaction with the teachers is very important, so that instead of spending time doing research, you already know what you are writing about, you already know what's in your project, because the teachers have led discussions and they have told you, okay, this is how you do this, and you have given your input on it. For example, tomorrow in our Sunday school, we have a report, some students, and the question is, why do bad things happen to good people? From a different religion standpoint. So there are some people who are doing it from a Jewish standpoint, some who are doing it from a Hindu. I am doing it from a Zoroastrian standpoint. And so not only are the teachers giving presentations, the students are giving presentations. And so that kind of helps us interact and absorb the knowledge rather than staring at the screen.
Mahtab, do you think beside you, other teens are also so involved and interested in doing presentations and getting involved? What do you see other Zoroastrian teens?
Farah Pauri over here. Farah is also, is I think about the same age as Mahtab, or maybe even younger. So maybe we should ask Farah to kind of share some of her this thing. She's a teen at ZAGNI and also teaches religion class over there, along with a bunch of other people.
So yeah, I understand what everybody is saying about how teens, we can be a little bit less motivated, or it's less easy to motivate us. But I would say when introducing yourself, don't only talk about your life, but also talk more about your interests, so that's easier for us to connect with you. Because teens like me, we see ourselves kind of like we're almost adults now. So we want to know, do you like Greek mythology? You know, do you like Harry Potter or Percy Jackson? Just things that, just completely random facts about yourself. And you would be really surprised about how much more interested teens will be in class if we knew about the random facts about you, instead of, like I've been teaching at this association for 4 years, or I've been, this is my job. That would probably be easier for motivation. Like, I actually became a teacher because my brother would still have to be in ZAGNI class for 2 extra years, and I didn't want to just sit alone at a table doing my homework, so I chose to start teaching. And that was the greatest experience of my life. So if a program is set up where teens right after graduating immediately get placed in a teaching role for maybe even a couple of classes so that they see how it is, that would really help them get involved more into the community. And we've been through the classes, so we know what we want to change. We know what the children want. So it would be easier to get a fresh new perspective.
Thank you so much, Farah. Mahtab, would you like to add anything to that?
I have a question. Sorry, everyone. Hi, this is Fariba. I've been teaching the teen classes in Southern California, Orange County, California Zoroastrian Center. Your age range 13 to 18. And my question, especially for the teens in the group, is the fact that there is no reward for attending class. That you lose more teens because they're like, what's in it for me? Do I get community service hours? I don't get a grade. No one's going to mark me absent if I'm not here. So what's in it for me? And the other thing is, when we give them something to do, something to research and bring back, I forgot, I left my paper at home. That's usually the things we get. And the third thing is, because the age range of 13 to 18 is quite a few years, you run out of material. I mean, how many times can you repeat the same Sapantas, you know, the Sapanta menu, Angra menu, the Homata Hukta version? You run out of stuff to say and they're bored. So how do you keep them engaged without getting bored? How do you change the subject without changing the concept? Thank you.
I know in one of my classes, we actually stopped learning about Zoroastrianism for one of the sessions, and we focused on Islam and how Islam connects to Zoroastrianism. Or you could do how Christianity connects, or how Greece connects. So you don't have to focus specifically on our religion. You can kind of branch out, and then the next class you can say, this is how this connects. this is why it's important to learn about our religion. Like I learned in my 6th grade history class about Persia and Greece, and then I was putting together different events that I learned in my Zoroastrian class and different events that I learned in my history class, and I was like, wow, this is how it connects. This is why it's important that I'm learning this in ZAPNJ class.
Thank you so much for expressing that, because as an educator, that has been my mission and my goal, to do cross-cultural connections to get the momentum going and to keep that, you know, that motivation going for the youth. That is great. Thank you.
So this is Doza Dangor from ZAH, and we basically divide the curriculum into 4 broader categories. One is, of course, the core religion. One is the history. One is the culture. And then the 4th is interaction with other religions. So I think once we are done with the Amesha Spentas and all the prayers, I think that subject gets a little dry. But when we go into the history, and not just like ancient history, even the modern history. Like for example, I know FEZANA did a talk on Maneji Hataria. You know, how many of our kids know who Maneji Hataria is? Those kind of things. And that is something which is of interest to both the Iranian Zartushtis and the Parsi Zartushtis, you know, and it's a very relevant topic. So things like that, or even talking about culture. I know we talk about our different ceremonies, like the Naujot ceremony, the wedding ceremony, prayers. So I think it's an interaction of all of those things. I mean, if you as long as you change around curriculum. I know we had like one presentation where all we talked about was, for I think 2 or 3 sessions, was the importance of women role models in Zoroastrianism. So through the ages, what were the important women in our history and tradition as well as culture. So all the way from the ancient age to today. So I think you have to mix and match it kind of to make it more interesting.
So can I also...
Sorry, Daulat, do you want to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. This is Khurshid again from Chicago. So I teach the oldest group, and like Daulat and some of the others who have expressed this, you know, it's an age group where they are undergoing an angst within themselves, which is outside of the religion and all of that stuff, you know, that's hormonal, etc., etc. I'm also a professor, so, you know, I'm familiar with some of this Mentimeter and Kahoots and other things which I use in my classes. But what I would also like to see is teens, especially because I feel that's the group with the greatest attrition and least retention. I would like to see them interact nationally, especially because Zoom is now available. So I would like to throw this out there as an ideal. If any of your associations have a teen, I have my next class tomorrow, who would like to drop in for 10-15 minutes and talk about what they do, let's say in Washington or Seattle or whatever, I would like to invite a guest teen speaker within that age group, because I think that's a great way for them to connect and form community, because I don't think everybody has the same demographics or the same geographic distance to their Darbemir or the same number of teens. You know, everybody has a different number. So some are dealing with 3 people in their class and some may have 7 or 10. So the dynamics would completely change. So if there's anyone who is already on this call or who knows somebody who would like to join my class tomorrow, it's at 11. I would love to invite a guest teen speaker for 10 minutes at least, and you know, tell us a little bit about yourself. I think that would help sort of this whole FEZANA North American, you know, grouping sort of thing. So that's just my thought. Thank you.
So I just want to also add that, you know, actually kids are quite motivated and they do enjoy learning about Zarathustra, and I think for the teen years, they can actually be, it can be very relevant to their lives. He's an ideal role model for the teenagers. Keep on questioning, that's what he did. This age needs to question. They don't need to believe me, they don't need to learn from me, they need to build community and think for themselves. So these are all beautiful teachings of Gata. So I want to be very careful that actually what I was trying to say is the kids are very, very motivated. And once they have community, we do have kids coming back. Right now we have 14 or 12 high schoolers that signed up for the online class, just high school alone. So I guess what I was trying to say is to get them involved in developing the curriculum and stuff, that it feels sometimes it's an imposition. We've had kids that got scholarships because of the work they did. We are a marginalized immigrant community here, cross culture, cross language, that they can really leverage and really bounce off of in their college careers. Many people got fellowships. I have students in law school still get, use their leverage of being students in a classroom. So I want to also say it out loud that we have so much to offer, and we have beautiful youth that, we can actually, there's a lot of hope. So I just want to also be very careful about saying that. And so my thing was, I also don't want to be imposed. Like right now, they're just seeing so many Zoom classes that to have one more class. So I tell them that I want this to really fuel your life. When you come to Z classes, it's there to help you do the rest of your life. This is not yet another class that you have to go to. So I just want to make sure that I'm also, open and talk about that part too. So thank you all for generosity and sharing. This is amazing.
Thank you. We had a question asking if youth from different areas can attend religion classes of different organizations. I'm guessing the answer is yes.
Yes, yeah.
Artemis, may I just say something?
First, Bakhtavar, please do.
About the topic of keeping the kids motivated. In my experience, like I have been with these children for over 15 years. I got them when they were 3 to 4 years old and they graduated from high school. Our first batch is now in medical school, or some of them are working. But what kept them motivated to come to classes was the friendships and the bonding that was formed among the children. And we are going through a temporary phase in life right now where Zoom is necessary. But whenever you get the opportunity, when this is over, or even before COVID started, we would gather these children for 8 to 10 days in a year and keep them together in one area, let them live together and form friendships and bonds with one another. So for the rest of the year, they would be waiting for the next camp to come up. And because they couldn't be in person with each other, they're all over the country, they would want to attend the classes so they would get to see one another, engage in discussions, learn together. So one of the biggest things to motivate children is by getting them together, not just for learning, but for doing fun things together, like take them out for fun activities and outings, put them together for a few days in a camp and do fun things as well as learn along with them. And as someone who is doing a lot of interfaith work for FEZANA, and what I do with my own children in my own ZAKOI region is I give the opportunities to all my children in my religion class group to participate in interfaith activities. Like a lot of my kids, as you mentioned earlier, actually presented at a festival of faiths. 5 Zoroastrian kids from 3 or 4 different states in the country presented in a festival of faiths that happened in Cincinnati, a virtual festival just a few days ago. So I am also involved currently with Kids for Peace, and I am inviting the children, whoever is interested, especially the teenagers, 12 to 18 years of age. If anyone wants to get engaged with kids of other faiths and do fun things together, please write to me. Artemis has my information, and I will get kids all over the country to join together with kids of other faiths and do good things and activities together. So I'm really looking forward to teachers sending me names of those teenagers who are interested in interfaith activities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bakhtavar.
Hi, Artemis. This is the other Armati. That Armati was from Toronto. This Armati is from Mississauga. And I used to, actually my daughter used to go to Armati Homa Wazir's camp when she was little. But I wanted to just say what Becca, I think that's what her name is. I'm sorry when the introductions happened, I was bumped off Zoom, it happens. But bringing the children together for even like 4 or 5 days. We used to have Zoroastrian children's camps at our Girl Guide facilities during the Easter break, because nobody else wanted to do anything during Easter break because it was Holy Week for them. But for us, it was very good. They used to give us a place very cheap, and they would come together, and they would not necessarily, we would have prayers every morning. We would sing munajats, and you know, the older kids would be like, oh, we don't want to sing. But we used to have things like, let's wear our sari today. How do you drape a sari? But not just the Parsi way, a different way, you know, a Bengali style, the Hindu style, like, you know, how to make garlands, how to make a har or a toran. And they would love to do hands-on things like that. And you don't have to necessarily just do like Zoroastrian, but slowly squeeze a little bit of Zoroastrian in there. Like all the teenagers would get together, and at the end of camp, we would give everybody an award. But it wasn't like an award. Sometimes it would be a silly award, like somebody who doesn't get up early and wakes up, comes straight from his bed to the breakfast table, and we all know that he didn't brush his teeth. So they would make a joke about him, and he would get that award, you know, bed hair award or something like that. But the teenagers were very involved in doing things. They love to do things like that. And
thank you so much, Armenti.
Can I just, this is a bragging point. This is the Camp Pardis pamphlet that I ran.
Right.
A long time ago. We ran it in 1996 and 98, and that's what Armiti was talking about. And the only thing I'm plugging here is that we managed to get government grants to employ our youth. We had grandparents driving us and cooking with us and doing cultural activities. We ran the camp for 6 weeks at a time in 2-week blocks at the Darbimer. So we mixed cultural with religion, with fun, arts and crafts, everything. And it went from 5 years of age to about 15. And so we were able to employ our youth and pay them. We were able to pay older youth like myself who ran it in our 20s. And we engaged everybody in the entire community. And it wasn't for a sleepover, but it was in 2-week blocks. And we provided donations and funding for any family who couldn't afford it. So it was really accessible for a lot of people. And we had 2 great years of it. So I'd love to present about that in the future if anyone wants to.
In the same token, I'd like to mention that at ZAH, we have had our summer programs going on physically. We've had groups coming in all the way from all over USA. This year, we were almost not going to do it, but we still went ahead and pioneered the first virtual Z Camp. It was, we had a core committee, but it was our youth who are heavily involved in running it. And our youth are not only the ones who were attending the Sunday school sessions, but they are now young professionals who were also invited to come in and join in. There was no monetary remuneration except in the form of gifts that was given out to our attendees, but they were completely involved and happily so in conducting this. So we have let nothing deter our cause. We do have donations coming in from amongst our own community members at ZAH. So definitely the youth love to stay involved no matter where they are. Some even came in from work. They're now young doctors, but they still were there to support the Z Camp.
Thank you so much, Vehishta.
Artemis,
Thank you.
may I add one more thing, Artemis, please?
Sure. We're just running out of time. A short
I'll
one.
keep it short. I'll keep it short because I want Persis Guard to add a few words as well. She's also from Chicago. So we had a religious fair where we had students design a project for a few months, like a couple of months, and then present the project in a fair on different tables, like sort of like booths, sort of like science fair. And it was an outstanding success. We had students actually make a model of an Agyari room. You know, somebody did an e-presentation on Shahnameh, et cetera, but it was, it just like was amazing success. It was actually the brainchild of Persis Driver, who's not on the call today. And then also we've done those kind of activities which you talked about. So we went to Feed My Starving Children, and we did it all as a youth teen group for 2 hours of, you know, community service. So Persis, would you like to add a little bit about the fair?
The youth project fair was really amazing, and it was purely to get everybody of all ages together, not just the younger ones. We let them do it more like a science fair concept, which they do in school. So you have a board, some could add a model. With the older kids, we encourage TED Talks, presentations, a slideshow. And I think each one selected their own topic, so there was no imposing, you have to do this, you have to do that. And I think that's what brought it all out with the kids. Like, they could choose a topic, they researched it, they decided how to present, and then it became a community event for the afternoon. And then we kind of just, through the community, did a little award ceremony. It was more a participation award versus a category of whose was the best. But I think that was the one time I noticed that everybody was very involved, and everybody came together. I don't think anybody didn't do it.
Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing. If there's any questions about virtual teaching, one last question, we gotta end. It's been about virtual teaching. Maybe we can have another session sharing ideas once we get rid of this COVID virus.
Artemis, this is Nargis, and I teach at ZAGNI. I teach the young kids. I just wanted to say a big thank you for getting us together, because I think this was extremely valuable. And I think that, speaking for myself, it's really exciting for me to hear what everyone else is doing. So if you could keep having, like, maybe every 2 months, arrange for all the teachers to get together and share ideas or something like that, I think that that would be really wonderful. Not just on Zoom, but just in general. But anyway, thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll definitely do that. It seems like we can't get enough of each other, and that's great news. That's a good feeling. So we will definitely organize more programs so we can get together as a group. And thank you so much for Arzan for facilitating this for us.
Before we go, can everybody turn on the camera so we can take a group picture? If you want to. Okay, so everybody smile. And the second screen, 1 second. Okay, thank you. Yeah, Artemis, continue.
Okay. Thank you so much, Arzan. And thank you to our speakers. Thank you to all of you for joining us today. Wishing you a very nice evening, wherever you are. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, FEZANA, for doing this. It was wonderful.
Bye. Thank you, Arzan.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.